And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome aboard. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region, and this is your Alaska Marine Weather Outlook on this Sunday, April 13th, 2025. The outlook is for the early week, Monday and Tuesday. We start with the sea ice, the state of the sea ice. We have had the edge of that ice down here between the outside of Kuskokwim Bay, south of Nunavik Island, and even though we have had some brisk winds on the backside of low pressure, the ice is not advancing too much in the way southward, just the time of year and the melting that's taking place. And no sooner do we have that low clearing out, now it's reemerging and redeveloping with another low out over the western Gulf. So that'll continue to have more of a northerly flow of winds, and especially on Tuesday, as yet another low will be lifting out of the North Pacific up toward the Alaska Peninsula. So looking at what we expect later tonight into early Monday morning, piece of energy pivoting across the Alaska Peninsula into the North Pacific, up into this low just east of Kodiak Island. Kodiak Island overnight will be picking up several inches of snow along with gusty winds. We're also going to see gusty winds come up along the Kenai Peninsula, the east side there, on up into Prince William Sound and the northern Gulf Coast. Some stronger winds and even some moderate to heavier snow showers, along with the potential for some flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder, because this is a dynamic system and it does have a colder pool of air aloft, which is going to enhance the instability. So that is not out of the realm of possibility here late tonight and especially through Monday morning. Front will also be pushing up in through the panhandle, so with it some gusty winds. And as we get into Monday afternoon, the system, the front pushes further inland. The low sitting there in the western Gulf will begin to weaken. But then here is the hint of the next low that'll be coming up out of the North Pacific, so that by Tuesday, that'll be the main feature. It's going to take a track similar to the last one that impacted areas of the eastern Aleutians, southeast Bering, Alaska Peninsula, and up along the YK deltas, Bristol Bay, and up eventually into the Gulf. So that'll be the next weather maker we'll have to contend with. Already some wind and rain or mixed rain and snow there in the eastern Aleutians. The Alaska Peninsula should generally see rain with this system, though as you get up any of the mountains there could pick up some snow. Looking at the southeast for Monday, south winds 20-25 knots for the inner channels, gusts to 35 knots possible Lynn Canal, and waves as high as 5 feet Lynn Canal, 3 feet Stevens Passage, 8 feet down here through Dixon Entrance south of Metlakatla. And then the outer coast off of Craig, winds just southwesterly 15 knots. Strongest winds will be south-southeast up here along the northeastern Gulf, and especially outside of Yakutat Bay. There could be gusts to 45 knots on Monday. And again, the potential for some isolated thunder there as that system advances eastward. Now, for the inner channels on Tuesday, look for southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, waves 4 feet Lynn Canal, 3 feet Stevens Passage, and generally running about 5-6 feet in this area of Dixon Entrance. For the outer coast, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots from Craig on up off of Sitka to outside of the Icy Strait, and then south-southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, Yakutat Bay to outside of their Cape Suckling. Now along the northeastern or northwestern Gulf, we have low circulation. This low will be weakening, but winds could be 30 knots, east-southeasterly winds outside of Hinchinbrook Entrance and within Prince William Sound. Waves 7 feet there, Prince William Sound, upwards of 15, 17 feet outside of Hinchinbrook Entrance. For the Cook Inlet, northeast winds, upper Cook Inlet 15 knots, turning northerly down through middle and lower Cook Inlet with waves of 4 to 5 feet. For Tuesday, we're going to start to see the winds strengthen here, especially outside of Kennedy Entrance, northeast of Kodiak Island. We're expecting east-southeasterly gales to 40 knots, waves 10, 11 feet. 30-knot winds from the southeast along the Kenai coast. And then within Prince William Sound, southeast winds 15 knots with waves of 3 feet. So across Kodiak Island on Monday, after the snow is letting up there in the morning, Look for northwest winds 20 to 35 knots, strongest on the east side of Kodiak Island. And then as we trail out along the Alaska Peninsula, generally westerly winds of 20 to 25 knots. And as we get into Tuesday, we're going to see winds picking up again in association with this low lifting out of the North Pacific. There's an inverted trough that sits up over the Alaska Peninsula. So ahead of that, easterly gales to 40 knots within Shelikof Strait, 10-foot waves there. East side of Kodiak Island, southeast winds to 30 knots all the way to there, Chiknik. Waves could be as high as 16 feet on the east side of Kodiak Island. And then notice how winds easterly and then turning northeasterly, increasing to 35-knot gales. Either side, False Pass, Cold Bay with waves around 10 feet. The eastern Aleutians on Monday will have a little bit of a break. Northwest winds 15 knots. Those winds turn northeasterly west of Nikolsky. 20 knots or so Atka to Adak, and then kind of a mixed bag until you get way out toward Kiska and Shemya, west winds at 20 knots. But on Tuesday, we find gale force winds across the eastern Aleutians at 35 to 40 knots. There is the potential for some rain and snow. Stay tuned to later forecasts whether that would be enough to be an advisory for wet snow. But further west, winds are northwesterly, 20 to 25 knots, Adak westward. And then the southwest coast, Bristol Bay west winds 20 knots Monday. Northwest winds 15 knots within Kuskokwim Bay and out toward the Pribilofs. And then generally northwest winds around 10 to 15 knots along the lower Yukon coast up into Norton Sound. And for Tuesday, winds will be easterly 20 knots within Bristol Bay, northerly 15 knots out of Kuskokwim Bay, northerly winds to 25 knots along the Pribilofs, and then along the lower Yukon coast into Norton Sound, northwest to west winds at 10 knots. Looking to the far north, areas south of the Bering Strait on Monday, generally north-northwest winds around 20 to 25 knots, strongest there, Wales, and over towards Savunga. As we go up through the Chukchi Sea, north-northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, but becoming northeasterly once you round Point Hope to Cape Lisburne up toward Utqiagvik. And then along the Beaufort Sea coast, winds increase easterly 25 to 30 knots, especially from Prudhoe Bay over to Kaktovik. And the outlook on Tuesday, generally northeasterly winds 10 knots along the Beaufort Sea scale, northeast winds 15 knots, Utqiagvik down to off of Wainwright, Point Lay, and Cape Lisburne, and then kind of a mixed bag of winds in the lower Chukchi Sea trying to turn northwesterly there at Shishmaref. And then for areas along the western portion of the Seward Peninsula, Wales, Port Clarence, on over toward Gamble and Savunga, look for northwest winds on Tuesday at 10 to 15 knots.